Welcome to our last Fraudcast of the year 2025. I'm joining you on LinkedIn Live and YouTube Live here with my friend Todd Smith from QoreAI. Welcome, Todd.
Thank you for having me. I have to say, I love the Rocky music. Heading
Yeah.
there for New Year's. My wife has never run up the stairs and get to see the Rocky statue. So that's awesome. I love it.
Well, in the spirit of this conversation, it was technically a fake. YouTube prevents you from using the original copyright. Unfortunately, that's one of the few areas where they've got that kind of thing locked down. In our industry, we have some challenges. We're going to talk about that a bit today. So just to unpack a few things, we're going to hit a vast array of topics, but just to credential Todd very quickly. Todd is an entrepreneur in the auto business, and I'll let him tell a few of his experiences along the way. But currently, his company QoreAI is one of the industry leaders in understanding how to leverage AI from a dealership perspective in a way that's meaningful. And I think that's kind of a very broad topic. And we're going to be at NADA in 2026 before you can blink an eye. And I'm going to wager that 1/3 of every company that's going to be at NADA is going to say that they do something for you with AI. What do you think, Todd?
I'm going to go all 100%.
Oh, wow. Just, you know what?
I,
They should have a whole wing that says everything's AI in here.
I think every booth we walk into, I felt like half the booths at our very dismal attended NADA last year in New Orleans had AI in some component. So my expectation is
Okay.
is
Okay.
saying,
So say it's all of them now. So
yeah,
what percentage of all actually, in your opinion, is qualified and really has a thoughtful idea on how to help dealers leverage it?
10%.
Okay. Gotcha. So 1 out of 10. Well, it's about how many no's it takes to get to a yes. So, everybody get your shopping carts ready.
Yep.
Okay, so Todd, just take me through your background real briefly, and then I want to dig into some AI specific things where somebody like me can bloviate about it, but I'm not an expert, right? So I always like to talk to the experts who can really kind of confirm or deny.
Sure. My background's automotive. Spent my life selling cars, running car dealerships, had a Chevy store. I love technology, so I've been involved in multiple tech startups. First, web-based CRM. Founded a company called Active Engage. Exited that in 2018. I always loved data. Data is like a driver for me. So even when I had my store, played with data back then using what's called RFM coding, recency, frequency, monetary value. So stuff left over from the 60s and direct marketing. Yeah, look, I am far from an AI expert. I don't think you could be an AI expert in an industry that's so changing. My kind of first shot into using or experimenting with AI was 2015 at a Watson event in Silicon Valley. And I was invited to a group of 200 other executives to look at how Watson was beginning to roll out, or IBM was beginning to roll out technology. And my ambition at the time was, could I make conversational AI? The tech wasn't there. I think IBM and Watson really leaned into medical and other industries. But now, in the age we're at today, anything's possible.
Yeah. Well, I love what you kind of started off with. You are a very AI forward kind of pioneer in AI for the auto sector. But one of the first things you say is like, I'm not an AI expert. And I think the first thing, that's kind of probably a tell. If somebody starts off with a conversation that says I'm an AI expert, that should be concerning. So
Yeah, look, it's a fast moving space. It's not something you're going to become an expert on, especially because it's so dynamic and changing. I feel like how you win at this space is through experimentation,
right.
trial and error, and understanding experiments. If you could do that, you can learn a lot, but you continue to learn a lot, right? There's no end point. So
Gotcha. Okay, great. Okay, so I'm going to start at the highest level. Um, what are the, if you could generalize at least, what are the things dealers are doing with AI today, right? Because they've heard that they should, versus what they should be doing with AI, and like what's the gap in understanding there that we should be differentiating as we're having conversations with dealers? Because we get, I get that objection all the time. It's like, oh, I don't need your product. I've got this AI thing doing this and that and whatever. And I'm like, oh, did you buy it from an expert? So
yeah, there it is. So Look, honestly, I look at this, Rudy, as I'll unpack that a little bit. One, I think we have a misframing in our industry where people are looking at AI like it's a SaaS tool that you're going to plug it in and it's going to do magic for you 100% of the time at no cost and just, be perfect. That is not what AI is. So I think we have a bad framing in our industry, thinking we're buying more SaaS tools, but with AI. So that is something that needs to change. Two, many of the things we see today are just using generative AI, meaning I have a text block, I send it up into an LLM, large language model, with some context parameters, and it gives me back a better answer, right? So, hey, I need to improve my email to this customer. How do I do it?
Sure.
Put some behavioral triggers into it. So, almost everything we see today in auto is just a wrapper around a GPT. So
Yeah.
that's how I look at it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's understood. And then so that's evolved into now what we call more of like the agentic approach.
Well,
And how does
that
that
moves into a whole different thing, right? So
right?
agentic is now I've assigned an agent to go do a task for me and bring me back something. So that's a little different because now you have to build usually an orchestration layer. You're going to have to send one or multiple agents out to access different data sets to bring back information, and the orchestrator actually assembles it all and makes it usable for you. So that creates a whole new level. I have not seen beyond what we've been experimenting with much of that at all inside automotive.
Okay. So you're saying like it's not there yet, but there's the promise so I guess so you got so agentic is probably coming. Like, what would you say are your concerns with that as we move forward? I mean, I think we know that's accelerating towards that, and I'm sure some vendors have already figured out, oh, hey, buy my product and you can eliminate X number of employees. Like, that's going to be the pitch.
That's going
So,
to be the pitch, right?
yeah,
Think about it. It makes sense. I believe in that pitch. I believe that if we can offload work that we don't want to do,
sure,
lead response, accounting, end of month,
yeah,
reconciliation. If we can knock out things that, we have a hard time holding people accountable to, that makes sense. But the expectation is you're hiring digital employees. These employees will also need training. They'll need continuous coaching. They're going to need that type of support. If you think you're going to go buy a box at NADI, plug it in, and magic happens, I think you'll be gravely disappointed. And it's the same idea. Every 20 group I speak in recently, I asked the same question, and maybe it'll resonate to anyone listening today. Have you tried a voice agent, whether for booking service or doing anything in your store, and then within weeks you turned it off?
right,
And if you have, that's okay. But what you're seeing is one of the multiple things. One, the agent or the tool is accessing raw data, so it doesn't know what to do with that, and it gets confused and says crazy things to the
yeah.
downstream
Lacks
customer.
context is what
Yes.
I'm thinking.
Problem one. Two, out of that as well, that the agent will just accelerate your process. So if you have a weak or just not super consistent, stable process, it's just like pouring gas on it. So you're going to accelerate more customers to a bad outcome faster. Hence
Okay,
why you turn these things off. So I view everything AI, I kind of forget about it. I always say start with data foundation and your processes, lock them down, and then look at them through a lens of AI to say, okay, can we use AI to do this workflow or process? And if we can, great. If you can't, no big deal. If the AI is not there yet, or it's not technically or feasibly possible. And I think if you change that mindset and say, okay, can I hire an AI agent to do this process? And if some you can, some you can't.
gotcha. So
Yeah.
the buzzword before this AI craze was CDP, and I've seen you heavily involved in that acronym.
Yeah.
By the way, do we have any new buzzwords that are not acronyms? I'd like to know, but anyway,
Yeah, I don't know. Listen, as you know, I am not a lover of the CDP. I think it's one more isolated database for dealers that they don't need. I think it's, again, bringing a Band-Aid to a gunshot wound.
Yeah,
And what I mean by that is, look, dealers just want to get a hold of marketing and get control, and they can't do it effectively out of the CRM or DMS. And then they hire vendors. And now you're like, oh, let's create a whole nother database just to do some marketing out of. If you break that stack down, why do I want to manage 3, 4, 5 silos? Why are we spawning more and more narrow tooling? And that's a SaaS mentality. SaaS, as you know, right? You've been in the industry a super long time, like I have. And like, think about it, from 2005 to 2025, that 20-year span, how many SaaS widgets have come into market to do
right.
very narrow kind of things? And we're like, oh, I need that to do social videos. I need this one to do text messaging on my website. I need this one to do chat on my website. I need this one. So we spawned this like enormous amount of widgets that all have a UX, right? Something that either our customers or our employees are interacting with, and a data table. And so we have data on customers across many different systems. The real thought in the age of AI, we must stop and pause and say, look, let's build and own the data ship layer, that foundation, and then connect tooling to a single data foundation that the dealership owns. That is a dramatic change, but in the world of AI, this is what's going to be necessary to make AI a functional, whether it's a worker or an automation or anything inside the dealership.
Right. Yeah. Otherwise, it's going to be beholden to whatever LLMs are driving those experiences separately.
Or think of it worse. Like, I have this LLM that responds to a customer in chat on my website. I have this LLM that's responding in
Right.
email and text
LLMs
out of
aren't
the
talking to each
CRM.
other though.
And they don't know each other. And they're totally responding differently and saying different things. So again, we're either going to spawn a high rate of angry customers or exposure in lawsuits. Well, your AI told me this here, and now it's telling me this here. What is it?
Yeah.
So eroding of confidence without data unification.
Gotcha. Okay. So I'm gonna pivot this over to kind of talking more about fraud.
Yeah.
Because I think all this is foundational to why we have a fraud problem, right? So talk about how the current state of how the tools are being leveraged with CDP, AIs, all these things that dealers are using to think, because they think it's going to help them sell more cars or what have you. And how does that contribute to the higher risk profile for dealers nowadays in terms of people being able to defraud them, either stealing the car or defrauding the bank? And what are some things you see happening with AI that are a threat to dealers nowadays that they're not thinking about or not prepared for?
Yeah. Okay. We'll unpack that in a few different places. First, for every good, like as Matt Science trying to do, right, to use technology to help dealers protect themselves, we have an equal side that is absolutely using technology to do harm.
Yeah.
Right. So we have to always be vigilant to that, where wherever it can be used for good, it can also be used for bad. So I believe PPP, COVID, trained criminals in how to do documentation and create false documentation. I think when the PP money dried up, now we have spawned a new, amazingly trained subset criminal base that now needs to apply that to other industries. And auto is a perfect industry because you have high value asset, easy to move and disappear. I can move it across the border. I could put it into a container. I could disappear it out of the country in, honestly, hours.
Yeah.
So that begins. So because of that, I believe dealers have to put a stronger defense in place. Photocopying a license and doing a synthetic ID check in the back or run red flag and OFAC is not nearly enough.
Well,
And
you said that, and that assumes, so if they did it, there's one thing to do it, and then there's a second thing to actually look at it, just to be clear.
Right. So,
I know
and
what I
that's
know what
the
the
thing.
checklist says on the deal jacket, but it
Right.
doesn't say, "Hey, you should look at it too."
Well, this is why conflict, Rudy. Like, think about it. Car dealers want to sell cars. Finance managers want to deliver cars. These guys want to make money, and will overlook a lot of things in our industry to get a deal done and get paid.
Yeah.
So my whole thinking behind this, you have to build ultimately a layer behind that is automated, that is the gate between the customer verification. That should be pulled away from humans to do the first check, just having the human as human in the loop to do the final look at that customer. But look, I believe really good finance guys or really good dealers get spidey sense this deal seems off or wrong. But are you really going to trust your spidey sense when you're not at the showroom and your sales guy and service manager, it's 9 o'clock and they're trying to deliver a car and your
Yeah.
spidey sense isn't available anymore?
Yeah.
So I think today we need a layer that has to look and understand customers with technology and do it completely automated. And again, pulling the human out of that first interface only because I want it to be a very sterile experience for the user. I want to stop fraud early. And I definitely want to me, look, again, I think a lot of guys are afraid of this because they don't want to scare customers away.
Mhm.
But I think if it's always framed correctly, you can easily tell the customer, look, your identity is incredibly valuable to us, and we don't want your identity exposed somewhere. So we do this check to protect you as well as protect our dealership. Does
Yeah.
that make sense to you?
Yeah, no, I think if it's framed properly, I mean, look, the current way that they do checks today is, I mean, they're taking your driver's license out of your possession and going to a photocopier, which you have no idea the chain of custody, or like some kind of like, brick at the sales tower. And so, in
Yeah.
reality, just by having a very kind of hardware light, just software driven browser or app experience sitting with them has got to be more pleasant,
So
less
much
scary.
better. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
so much better. And look, even I look at the identity itself, the driver's license. Even our government doesn't trust them anymore. Go to the
No,
airport, right? Real
nope.
ID. What is that? Hey, I'm taking a 360-degree facial print of you, right? They don't even, they're like, your license is worthless now to us. And it's
Yeah.
crazy because our industry is still using, and look, this trickles from many areas like bank, like, underwriting, down to the dealer habit and workflow. So things do need to change in our industry to be, to me, more protective, and we can learn lessons from outside. Real ID, what Clear has done to streamline, airport stuff through TSA. And look, they're taking, again, a very stringent analysis of consumers and millions of them at a time. And, within seconds, you can be verified and you move on.
Yeah. Yeah. You and I were talking earlier, like you actually had some fun with you had a dealer that was kind
Yeah.
of thumbing his nose at you a little bit and had
So,
some fun with him. So
yeah,
I'd
I'll
love to
give you the
hear how you
story.
tell the story.
Yeah.
Don't maybe
So,
don't use the dealer name unless
I,
he's
I, I
jumping on and wants to claim it.
yeah, listen, I will let anonymity exist in this story. So I have a good dealer friend, owns a lot of stores. He basically asked me, he said, what are you doing? And I was like, you really need identity verification. He's like, no, we don't. We have a, excuse me, we have a scanner and we photocopy licenses. And I was like, you're going to be defrauded. He's like, we haven't been defrauded yet. And I was like, okay. Honestly, Rudy, to me, that is challenge invited.
Yeah.
So I decided, I was like, how do I want to defraud him? And again, all in theory and in good jest here.
Yeah.
So I looked at him and I was like, okay. So I went to one of his stores and he had a brand new High Country, one in his Chevy store. I was like, I like the High Country. So I was like, asked the sales guy, took it for a test drive, wrote the stock number down, wrote the last 6 of the VIN, talked to the salesperson for 15 minutes, went through, told him I'm thinking about it, told him I knew the owner, no big deal. So the next day I called the owner. I recorded his voice for about 10 minutes. We had just a nice conversation, pleasantries, nothing great. I then cloned his voice. The next day I knew he wouldn't be in town, but no one would know that. So I called that store, the sales guy, and said, hey, I need you to go out front and get the keys to that high country and bring it down to my dentist office. My dentist is interested in driving one. I think this is the right truck for him. So put a temp tag on it, get Jose in the wash bay to drive you down, drop the car off, leave the keys under the mat right in front of the dentist's office. He's going to drive it after work and he's going to bring it back. Got it? Yes. No problem, sir. I took a selfie in front of a random dentist's office with his whatever $70,000 high country. I didn't use a gun. I didn't even present an ID.
Wow.
I was able to take a car off his lot. And I think it's really important that you don't know what you don't know. And education is the number one thing. And I feel like, voice scamming has been around for years, but now in the age of AI, it's accelerated and it's very
a lot
easy to do. Oh yeah, it's super easy. I can use 11 labs right now and I can instantly clone your voice. I actually need 5 seconds of your voice now.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So I put it as just as a thinking exercise. He was blown away. He's like, I was like, look, I don't care what you get, but you really need to start thinking about it. I was like, don't yell at the sales guy. It wasn't his fault because it was your voice.
Yeah. Yeah. You gave him your voice. So that was a while back. So like, is that able to happen with video now?
Video?
Like how far away? I would say it differently. How far away is it from the video being really good? Because I mean, I see, like
within 12 months.
My friends,
within 12 months is indistinguishable.
Okay.
This is a cascading problem. This isn't just fraud in a dealership. This is someone could spoof your mom and be like, hey, send money. I have a problem. I'm FaceTiming you. And this guy's angry at me. If you don't Zelle him $100, $500. I mean, I think about the proliferation of scamming, especially at low dollars. That I don't know how we'll keep up because someone told me, and I don't know if it's correct, so someone can fact check this, but someone told me as high as 70% now of the images on Google Images, like if you click images, are completely AI generated.
Wow.
So
okay.
We're entering this time where there's a gap between, look, we believe what we see and what we're going to start seeing is not real.
You see or hear, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so just to run through the checklist. So voice, that's done. That can happen. You're saying images, IDs, documents, all that done. And you're saying for the most part, video it's probably not 100%, but it's at some percentage today, and it's going to get to where it's going to be.
It'll be 100% in 12 months.
Okay.
Before we enter 2027, my estimation, video is indistinguishable because I've built a clone. I don't know if I've ever shown you my clone. And obviously it's audio. You can talk to it. You can message it. And it's built on a repository of 6 million words or videos, transcripts, all the stuff I've done. And I've been testing HeyGen for the video side, right? So I uploaded about 20, 30 minutes of me actually talking on a green screen. It's close.
Gotcha.
I'm almost thinking, Rudy, I could put it in Zoom meetings and you wouldn't know it's not me.
Yeah. No, I mean, I've seen it happening to some extent. We catch some doing that. And so it is terrifying. Like, I'll go look, I'll see my wife scrolling on Instagram and I'll look through all her videos and I'll be sitting there pointing out, that's AI. That's not. That's AI. She's like, how do you know that? I'm like, I think, just because you're looking for markers, but the common person doesn't know, and they're like, so it's kind of crazy and it's terrifying. So that brings us to like, all right, so what's the solve for that? So now you've got dealers and you're trying to go compete with Carvana, right? And sell to the driveway. Yep. So how do you look at that? I mean, how do you look at solving for that, meeting that need if that's the way the transaction's kind of going?
Yeah, look, first is uniforming the transaction. A lot of times we don't. A lot of times, you get out of state and people don't even know the processes in the store. And it's a very inconsistent process in the store, right? So it's like, oh, I handled that deal this way. The other F&I guy says do it this way. So I think process uniformity is job one. I guarantee you, every car delivered in Carvana follows a process based on the state it's being delivered in, down to a T.
Yep.
Every state, 50 states mapped to a T. They can deliver a car in every state. And I think, to me, that is job one. So it has nothing to do with technology. It is, what is our process flow? Then the next question over this, how are we going to leverage technology during this process? And are there key pieces that still need to be manual? Some states I still have to do manual, like wet SIGs to do stuff. Others, digital. So we have to look at that process. And then we have to look at, okay, how are we going to verify the identity of a person? So, and the question is, have them text a copy or a picture of their driver's license to an employee that now it's on his personal device, or email me a copy of your driver's license is really problematic.
Yeah.
One, again, I'm not helping fraudsters here, but fraudsters running phishing attacks on dealers, the real goal is documents, in my opinion.
100%.
I don't care about your emails. I care about all the stuff you're still allowing your customers to attach to communication.
Yeah. The whole secure transfer of information is terrifying. So yeah, like, Todd, like one of the things that we push on hard at Maverick is like our ultimate way to prevent and be the ultimate backstop to prevent, I think we're talking about deepfakes essentially, is we require one of our living, breathing signing agents to meet them at that last mile to verify humanity. Whether they've electronically signed the whole deal or not, we were coming to get, their thumbprint and get an affidavit of identity. And we do see a lot of deals fall out that way, and that got through the process allegedly, and then they're like, where'd that person go? And so they're like, oh, I'm not going to talk to him in person.
Yeah, think about it. Fraudsters. And listen, but brazen fraudsters will. There was one that I forget who posted it or was talking about it, but the fraud went through. And the fraudster's like, hey, I get off work. I work at a restaurant. I'm at 1 a.m. And they're like, just meet me in my driveway or out in front of my house. Yeah. And they signed paperwork. Yeah. So this is the crazy part. The person who defrauded and took the car didn't live in the house.
No.
But he was in front of the real house.
Yep.
Because they went back and said, hey, we were here. We signed. He goes, and then they realize, they're like, this isn't the same guy.
No.
So synthetic ID, complete fake docs, and used a picture of themselves. So they had like totally scammed the guy's real driver's license.
Right.
Yep. So think about the brazenness of that. So they're like, deliver and think of like
the ones where they show up in an Uber or Lyft.
Yeah.
And then actually the identity that they booked, where we've caught some, this is I really don't want to put this out there, but it is hilarious. When they get caught, the identity they used to book the Uber and Lyft was not. That's how we caught them. That's how they got caught by cops. Is they were using their actual real identity on their Uber or Lyft account to get dropped off in front of the house where they were defrauding somebody. So that I thought was hilarious. We're like, oh, okay, you are who you say you are.
Yeah. And look, I feel dealers, one, also are misinformed that you think the lender is accountable. But if you read your documents, you are accountable.
Yeah,
for that, because you are the actual receiver, and you're that first line. The lender is like, nope, read our security stock. You're liable for the value of that car. So I think dealers need to, one, educate themselves. Two, put as much safety that is out of their employees' hands, because to me, again, the employees are going to sell a car.
They got a commission bias, and you could also have to worry about inside jobs.
Yeah, and that doesn't even account for that, because there's a good chunk of fraud that is inside. I've heard of guys inside stores taking driver's license, selling them for anywhere from $200 to $700 on the dark web. I've heard like a multitude of things.
Yeah.
And think how blatant and documents around dealerships. We could go, if you and I did a road trip and go and visit some stores, I guarantee within the first 1 to 2 stops, we will land on a desk with a copy of a driver's license, insurance card, or some PII that I can now leverage and turn into money.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's terrifying. So, just for I know we're running out of time a little bit, but I did want to segue to one kind of recent hot point, flashpoint in the industry, which was the 700 credit data breach,
Sure.
right? As it relates to what we just talked about with the identity theft. So, I mean, I was a board member at 700 Credit for several years. They're a joint venture between Reynolds and CDK, for those that don't know. And, I think very highly of them as a company. And honestly, I commend them on their, the actions that they took once they kind of got the news out about the response. But like you talked about how much those identities were worth. So like, talk me through the chain, the order of operations here. So bad guys got in, took 5.6 million records, and I am just assuming everybody has been breached at this point. So that's just me. But in this specific instance, they got in and took 5.6 million records, assuming that they were just going to use this to go steal cars. They're probably doing it for other reasons as well. Like, how much would they be able to sell each credit profile per name, right? And then what do they do with those? How do they curate those, and when do they sell them for money? Yeah, I'm just curious, like, how does that the dark side of this work from a
Listen, all this is
not
on
that
the
I'm
dark
saying
side.
I want to go do that.
Yeah.
I'm just
Okay. I'll say what I know and have researched and understand, and without exposing probably too much of the secret sauce of usually what gets done. But most of the stuff is available on the dark web, or chunks of it. So the goal is like compiling. So if I get a ton of identities, I may look through those identities and say, I'm going to take these people at middle tier. So they have good credit, but not great credit. And now what I'm going to do is start to build more. I'm going to create an identity of that. And now I'm going to build more credit on it until I'm going to use it as a breakout. And they'll do crazy things. So this not only happens with like breaches like this, where that data is all available, but I can tell you another one where a guy will go talk to homeless people and say, fill out this survey and I'll give you $20 and give me your driver's license, give me your social security number. And now I have it. What they'll do then is go run it up, build it, and have a breakout. And now the cops will go look for the homeless guy. And he's like, I have no idea what happened. So think of the same concept. This is why if you're not using your credit, probably need to freeze it. This is why, with the age of AI, they can look through millions of records, piece together, this is this person. Oh, there's a social over there. Here's a copy of his driver's license number over here. Here is their insurance card here that's been breached somewhere else. Think about AI as a consolidator and building much faster identities. It used to take 3+ years to do breakouts. I've heard it within sub 6 months now. They're able to build an identity, do it. And this, as we talk about this, I believe the real break point is the credit bureaus themselves. They're not going to be able to compete in the age of AI. I don't know if credit bureaus are the end game, that this is not going to be a trustworthy source of my credit worthiness.
Yeah.
So that creates a whole nother problem in our industry, because think about it. If you could feed up and create a new identity, put it, and it's now known on Equifax, TransUnion, Experian, and now it's not even a real person. They have no way to verify it. So what happens next? And that's why I'm saying, like, AI is, as much as we're going to use it for good, there is going to be a subset that is absolutely using it for bad and evil and self-gain and profit. So we need to be very vigilant for, where our data is, how it's being used. But the real reality is everybody's data is on the dark web. And if you're doing anything, I would start to try to get some of it off, meaning less exposure. Because like anything, you think about CDK's hack or anyone, all of them, everybody's logging into that monolithic stack has a point of weakness. So there's, for an attack vector, I need one phishing scheme, and I got in, get on a computer, expose this, get deeper into a system. That is so hard to defend against in the age of AI, unless ultimately they start building better AI applications that detect. But you're going to get so many false positives too. Like, hey, and it's a real person who works at the company, and you're blacklisted. You're never logging in again. You know what I mean? Like, you're going to have a lot of this. So I don't know. I don't have answers. I have probably more questions.
Right.
But I also realize that this takes education. This takes learning about it. Don't trust your vendors. Like, really roll up your sleeves, learn about this, read about it. Look at reports. Look at what banks are issuing. Chase makes statements. All these lenders make statements. Like, really look where this industry is heading, because as a dealer, you have to protect yourself. And protecting yourself, as you know, is in layers, right? It's like layer 1 at the point of purchase. Layer 2 is at banking. Layer 3 is just organizational, operational, as communication, locking down your comms. Like, there's so many layers that you have to consider in this day and age. So
and I'm kind of waiting to see, you know, once these 5.6 million or whatever records have the 6 months to be percolated, right? Like, what's that going to look like? And I think the frustrating part, you know, if I'm sitting in a dealer's shoes, is like, well, look, I didn't allow this thing to happen, and yet if I allow one to get through and steal a car using one of those records, I'm on the hook.
Right.
True. So
and listen, where does lawsuits float? To whoever has the biggest bank account. So you have to think of it that way. And as dealers have big bank accounts, they have giant bullseyes on them to be sued for the most ridiculous things. Obviously, TCPA lawsuits down the thing, can spam email lawsuits, take your pick, right? So I feel like dealers, I mean, literally, I've been in groups. They literally have these well-defined processes for like subpoena management, lawsuit that, like, wow, like, who really has a whole department just to fend? If you have a lot of stores, you're literally managing that risk department, like your Target or something, you know? It's wild.
Yeah. Okay, so we got to have the right technology in place. We have to make sure we have a fraud prevention plan that's actually operational, and then we have to make sure that we are not just we need to make sure that we're intimately aware of the data flows, it sounds like, and at the end of the day, the buck does stop with us as from a dealer perspective. And, you know, it's incumbent to find the right partners is what it sounds like. And but I think one thing we heard in the beginning is, when somebody comes in and tells you they're AI expert first, you should probably have some questions. They need to go show you they're experts before they can tell you. And so I think that's a good takeaway for me. Anything else, Todd, before we go? I know we're running out of time, and I think we've got a couple of things. We got a couple things to mention. I think I wanted to feature this. You got a book out there, and I wanted to talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, so I have a book coming out. This is a grind for me, honestly, Rudy. This is a year of writing about the intelligent dealership. Trying to think forward and framing what automotive is going to look like, how it's going to run. And I landed on this deep thing about having a data foundation as being a data first dealership. And though dealerships have always had data, they haven't operated from a data first perspective. So I wrote this book, talks about security around data. Obviously, AI is a big factor in where we're heading as well. And I'm really excited for it to be out. I'll be out right around NADA this year. I'll be speaking there with the head of data for Equifax. So super excited to finally get this year-long journey out. It's like having a baby to me, I guess. I'm a guy, I don't know, but I was like, oh, the magic is about to happen. So I'm super excited for it.
I'm looking forward to an autographed copy. I will be reading it and sending out some excerpts. And I think I could probably, even at MavSign, we could probably learn a lot from that. So we're looking forward to doing that and helping you promote it, Todd. So congratulations on your success. I didn't see any comments or questions. I think everybody's in the process of building bunkers for like the nuclear AI holocaust now. So we've got everybody successfully aware of the issue. So great talking to you, Todd. Thank you very much. Have a happy holidays. And as I always like to say, you got to go out there and be a maverick.
Thanks. Appreciate you having me.